And welcome everyone to another special edition of the ETBU Sportsnet, where we are unveiling the all-time Tigers team as part of the 20th anniversary of ETBU football since its inception in 2000. I'm your host, Kenneth the K-Rock Klein, and I will be unveiling another member of the all-time Tigers team, as this week we are unveiling our running backs, and we have 8 incredible players that made the list of the great running backs as well. Among them, of course, is two-time All-ASC selection and All-American running back Kendall Roberson. In his 2 seasons at ETBU in 2014 and 15, he rushed for 2,255 yards, scored 30 career rushing touchdowns, finished with 8 100-yard rushing games, including the iconic 420 against Belhaven, which we'll get to in just a moment. We had him on a few months ago talking about the 2015 squad, but it's always good to catch up with a player who wore number 2 in Kendall Roberson. And Kendall, congratulations for making it to this list, first of all, and welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, Kenneth. Glad to have him. Glad to be on.
Absolutely. So we'll get to your football career in a bit, but first and foremost, just tell us exactly when you graduated from ETBU, what you were majoring in, and what you're currently doing right now.
Yeah, Kenneth. So I graduated from ETBU in 2015 in the winter, December time. Right now, I'm currently working in the construction, renewable industry. I graduated with a kinesiology degree. I coached for a couple of years after that at ETBU, got the GA, and working my master's program as well, but got into the construction realm and renewable energy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, Kendall, now you were here at ETBU for only 2 seasons, but you had a stellar rushing career, averaging over 1,000 yards per year, to say the least. I mean, talk about your time at ETBU and what it meant to you personally.
My time at ETBU was first off, I met some incredible people. Miss Kelly Paul, when I first got there, was the first one to speak with me outside of the coaching staff. And she had told me she graduated from Texas Tech, which I'm originally from Lubbock. So I felt at home when I first met Mrs. Kelly Paul. So thank you, Miss Kelly Paul. Along with the coaching staff there, Joshua Ergel and with Scotty Walden, who kind of told me, how everything goes there, and along with the players, it was a big time surprise for me coming from West Texas to East Texas. So the adjustment took a little bit, just with just the environment, but after a while, I felt at home, and the time on the hill was beautiful. It was a great thing.
Absolutely. Now, of course, everyone will obviously look back to your time at ETBU, obviously, as you were part of the 2015 squad. But there were 2 special moments, one for you personally, one for the team as well. First and foremost, the game that I think everyone will remember you best was your 420-yard rushing game against Belhaven University. And as I always like to say, that happened in a monsoon. I mean, the weather was just bad. The field was just kind of a little messed up. And I think that was really what set the stages for the Hardin-Simmons game as well. But from your perspective, what do you remember most about that game against Belhaven in particular, aside from the fact that you were running a lot and scoring 5 touchdowns?
Yeah, Kenneth, that was a fun game. I just remember even the night before it'd been raining, and I know at the time we were in Van Zant. I stayed in Van Zant, which I know it's not there anymore, but Van Zant was right next to the stadium, and me and a couple of guys were just looking outside like, this is going to be a long game. Originally, it was supposed to be, I believe, a 6 p.m. kickoff. But, Coach Ergel and our coaching staff had spoke with their staff, and they moved the game up to originally, I think, 2 o'clock. And then they end up saying, hey, let's just go ahead and go at 11. So it was an early morning kickoff, but the rain didn't let up. And I remember that game being just, we had got out and we were just having fun from offense and defense. And as much as our offense got going as far as the rushing attack, our defense was turning over the ball just as quick. So the 420 was a testament not only to the offensive line and myself and the team, but the defense. They did a great job of getting us the ball back. And I remember somewhere in the 3rd quarter or so, or 4th, or maybe talking to Ergo, and he, they had kind of told me how many yards I was at. At the time, it was like, all right, let's just go win conference. But, looking back on it, man, I wish I'd have stayed in a couple more minutes, man, and try to reach 5, just all honesty.
Yeah, I think I checked the stats. I think you were like 65 yards from like the all-time rushing. I mean, which would have been totally insane, obviously. But a day like that, of course, obviously, where throwing the ball wasn't probably going to be the best option, running the ball was as well. And I have to say, I think the monsoon probably played a big factor into your next game, of course, the big one against Hardin Simmons University in the Mud Bowl, I guess we'll call it, but
Yeah.
opportunity for you to clinch the ASC championship, and you got it. You were able to hang on to a big win against Hardin Simmons. Just the feeling of knowing that, like, take us through the preparation to that week, the lead up to the game, and then playing the game itself, and then obviously the celebration after that.
Yeah, Kenneth. So I remember we had just won the game down in Sul Ross. So you can imagine that 15-hour bus ride up there. And then, we had one of the best offensive and defensive performances when we played Sul Ross that day. And I remember getting off the field, we had just found out that UMHB had lost to Hardin Simmons. Well, we had Hardin Simmons next week. And from the moment we were walking off that Sul Ross field, we knew we were ready to go win that game at home. And so going into that week, we probably had one of the best practices performances as a team that whole week. And then as we get to the game, it had rained a little bit, but it was just more of that overcast from the Bellhaven game. At the time we had grass. I know they have a beautiful turf over there in Marshall. So, it still had been very heavy with mud and water. So that game, we were getting ready for another game that we had played in before. So that game was the Hardin Simmons game was a tough fought game. I believe we were down in that game by a touchdown going into the third or the fourth quarter. I couldn't remember, but that team, the 2015 team, we never gave up, not one time at all during the season. And eventually we got the outcome that we wanted. It's just a hard fought game.
Yeah, absolutely. That game, of course, still resonates in my mind. 27-21, the final score. I mean, just the celebration afterwards. And then, of course, seeing Coach Ergo doing the dab after that. I mean, it just seemed like the preparation from that game, when you watched the video of Coach Ergo giving that speech in the locker room, it just seemed like destiny was calling, because that seemed like that was the day that, you were going to win that game. It just, did you kind of feel that way going into that, even though you were playing against Hardin Simmons?
Yeah, absolutely. From the moment the ball was kicked off, from the moment we all stepped in that locker room, from the moment that we all did a tiger walk, from that whole week, it just felt like everything was set up for us to go out there and win that game. We prepared for it. We felt good. I had a couple of bad plays in that game. I fumbled, I believe, in that game, and I just remember not even worrying about it. And I know J Mac had a great game as well. And so, the motivation that we had within a team and that camaraderie with the fans and everybody involved in that atmosphere, we knew we were going to win the game. There was no doubt about it.
Absolutely. You are a two-time All ASC selection and an All American as well. When you look back, obviously, to knowing that even though you played here for 2 years, to find your name on the all-time Tigers list, what does that mean to you personally?
Man, I thank God for that. It's a blessing. I really wish I would have had more years than just 2 years with that culture. ETBU is a special place. It has special people there in every sport. You can see our softball team, our baseball team, every basketball team. It's a very good culture there. Great people. Our administrators are great people. And I think that just looking back on all the accomplishments that you get, it's just there's no other place you would want that than ETBU in North Texas. It's a very deserving place, and God has really been involved in that community, all of us in our lives, and everything that's about that university. So it's a true testament to God's work and to the work that we do around God, into that community, and into all of our peers there.
Absolutely. Now, of course, it's funny because I look back at that 2015 team. You guys were not only able to kind of reshape the culture of ETBU, specifically in the football field, to where they now have a different kind of meeting room. Obviously, it kind of feels like a regular football meeting room, to say the least. But you also have made big impacts on the lives of both Coach Josh Ergo and Scotty Walden as well. Because right now, Coach Ergo is with Kansas, and he actually had a chance to be an interim head coach for one game when Les Miles couldn't coach because of COVID-19. And obviously, Scotty being named the interim head coach at Southern Mississippi University. Learning from those guys, from those two guys while you were there as well. Obviously, Scotty was the offensive coordinator, but Ergo was the coach as well. And then just seeing what they're doing, with their teams right now. What is it about them that you learned that you're going to take with you for a lifetime? And just seeing them, what they're doing on the field right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with Josh Ergo, Coach Ergo, The first time I met him, we got to speak and we talked, and then he said something. He said, "You will be a champion when you leave here." And I was like, "Whoa, okay." And I've never heard that before, and it wasn't just something he said. He worked every day. He believed it. His expectation of us were higher than what we had of ourselves because he knew where we can go, and that's spiritually as well. We used to go and serve in the community. We used to go to the Marshall junior highs and elementaries, and he showed us that once you commit not only to the community, not only to your teachers, not only to your teammates, you will get places that you want in life. You will get the things that you want in life, and that holds true to my everyday. So, thanks, Coach Ergel. You're a great man. I still talk to him, periodically throughout the weeks and stuff. And same thing with Coach Walden. I talked to him the other day, and I got to check on him, make sure he was good and his family. He's just the most energetic, most inspiring guy that I know. We talk about faith still to this day. Great man. You would love to run through a brick wall for either one of those guys. And I think that what the people in D1 or whatever level they're going to be at or whatever level they are, they're starting to see what we already know. These guys are both special people. They're men of God, and they care about their teammates, they care about their players, and they care about their community.
Absolutely. Now, what memories do you have with your ETBU teammates as well? And are you able to keep in touch with them even to this day?
Yeah, man, I got too many memories, man. A lot of funny memories, but still to this day, me and Warburton, he came to my wedding, I came to his wedding. We're in both of each other's weddings. We talk all the time. Me and Jayla McCloney, we talk. X Davis and all of us. It's about 10 of us on a text message and chain that talk pretty much every day. We've been doing this since 2015, 2016 time, and we were real close. We checked on each other's families, make sure everybody's good, make sure everybody's safe. We always have a couple of stories. You can still see sometimes we'll throw a video in there, something that happened that was funny from when we were there in 2014 and 15. But man, that championship year, man, we have a bond, and that bond is an eternal thing, man. I tell you that.
Absolutely. And of course, I'm seeing all you guys talking about all these players that are being mentioned on this all time Tigers list. So it's like, man, I mean, you were so pumped up wanting to see who was going to be on the running backs, the wide receiving list. And of course, we got the quarterbacks to go. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes down. But seeing you guys engaged in all these debates as to who should at least be on the team, it's really nice to see that camaraderie, especially from your years playing at ETBU since your last year in 2015 as well. So, with ETBU being a faith-based university, how has God impacted your life to where you are today?
Like I said, when I went to ETBU, first time I attended chapel every day or every twice a week. It's the first time, I went to a church or Marbury or any church or anything associated with the school, just because, I grew up in the church. So I've always been accustomed to going to church. But with ETBU tied into it, it just felt like it was one thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't ETBU here and then church here. It was kind of together to where everything just felt natural. And I thank God for that. That was the best time of my life. You're an athlete, you're 21, 22 years old, trying to figure everything out. You're working on campus, trying to, get a couple of dollars so you can have just some spare time. So the things that I learned there, and with the men and the women around there, those people that cared so much about us and took care of us, is something that I've taken in my own family's life and my wife, and my two children, to serve. To serve each other, serve your community, give back to your community. Get out and do whatever you can for the people that are around you that may not have, the things that you have, or whatever you can do to serve, which is kind of like how Jesus would, just be the best servant you can. And so, still to this day, I do the best that I can. Try to take care of my community. And go out and get back to the kids and youth, and go out and do little practices with them or whatever we can. So I think ETBU really opened the door to that and let me kind of expand, not only athletically and in school, but spiritually as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, now time to put your recruiting to the test as well. So, you got a high school football player looking to play college football, and you are trying to convince him to go to ETBU. What would you tell him why they should go to ETBU and why?
I wouldn't have to tell him anything. I just hold up a 12 and a half size ring and just say, hey, man, you can get you one of these, man, when you go to a university that pushes you in every direction you can. and makes you the best man you can be.
Short and simple. I like that. All right. Final question. Obviously, we're still kind of dealing with all this uncertainty with this pandemic going on, especially what's going on around the country as well. We always like to ask our alumni if they have any words of wisdom. Of course, since you've been an alumnus for about 5 years now, what words of wisdom do you have for our viewers out there?
I would say to all of our people out there, or all of our ETBU students, just continue to do what you can, be the best at what you can be the best at. As long as you work hard every day, everything that you want in life will come to. And don't give up. Continue to be the best that you can, and take care of yourself out there. Be safe, and God bless all of y'all, man.
He may be worry number 2 on the field, but he was the number 1 back on the 2015 squad, and he's one of the best running backs of all time. Kendall Roberson, congratulations once again for making this list, and we wish you all the best and looking forward to seeing you down the line for future ETBU games.
Thank you, Kenneth, man. I appreciate y'all. Take care.
All right, that's Kendall Roberson. I'm Kenneth the K-Rock Klein. Tune in next time on this ETBU Sportsnet. We will unveil our next all-time Tigers member, and that will be revealed next time.